Hey, nature photographers, it's Lee Hoy, your OM System Ambassador, who's here to teach you all about capturing images with long telephoto lenses, super telephoto lenses. I'm going to talk about some of the reasons you struggle when it comes to shooting with long lenses. I see these same issues time and time again when I'm leading workshops, whether it be for birds, bird in flight, wildlife images, even long lens landscapes. If you're whether you're using the brand new 100 to 400 version 2, the 150 to 400, a Nikon big 600 millimeter lens, or a Canon 500 to 800, or the 200 to 800, whatever that lens is, there's all different long lenses out there. Regardless of which one you use, there are reasons that you tend to be struggling. I'll have people say, well, with this lens, it's soft at the long focal length. Well, the reality is you can capture pretty sharp images with any lens, okay? Yes, some are better quality than others, but odds are if you find that you're consistently finding soft images, a lot of times we want to blame the gear, but 99.9% of the time, that's not the reason. So, I've got some tips, tricks, techniques to help elevate the number of visually compelling wildlife images you capture. Watch this and I'll get right back to it. Hello, my name is Lee Hoy, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Lee Hoy Photography. I'm an OM System Ambassador, Senior Workshop Instructor for Wildside Nature Tours. I'm a workshop instructor for Precision Camera and Video, and a contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. All right, I can tell you that time and time again, the number one reason people struggle when shooting with super telephoto lenses is this. I see it over and over in my clients. I see it over and over online. I see it over and over just watching people in the field. You are afraid of high ISOs because you believe noise is a problem, and therefore your shutter speeds are too slow. Do you know the standard rule for hand holding a lens is generally 1 over the focal length for your shutter speed? So if you're shooting at an 800 millimeter equivalent, like you would be with this lens zoomed to 400 millimeters, then your minimum shutter speed should be 1/800th of a second. Now listen to me, that's minimum. A lot of y'all are older, and I know some of these combinations have 7.5, stops of image IS in them. Okay, some images have 8.5, or excuse me, some lenses. But the reality is that doesn't mean you should try getting away with 1/400th of a second. What that means is shooting at the minimum shutter speed, you should have better luck capturing sharp images. I know you're afraid of high ISOs. I have so many videos on here, and so I've talked so much about this. You don't need to be afraid of high ISOs. You do if you consistently underexpose your images and you try to brighten them a lot. You should if you really don't know how to post-process your images well. Of course, you're afraid of high ISOs, but I have shown you in many videos why you don't need to be. I have a video, I'll show the link right here. I have a video about can you crop a micro four thirds image at a high ISO. And if you watch that video, you'll discover, yes, you can. So with software like DxO Pure Raw 4, with not cropping the crap out of your images, with starting with a nice sharp shot to begin with, noise isn't an issue, okay? So quit fearing high ISO images. So I say this over and over again. Would you like to have a sharp shot at a higher ISO or a blurry shot at a low ISO? I mean, it's kind of a dumb question, but that's the question that people ask themselves all the time. And I'm amazed at how many people choose a blurry shot at a lower ISO. Stop pressing your luck. Photograph where you know you're going to stop action. The thing about wildlife photography is there are times you can drop your ISO and go to a slower shutter speed because you know that, like, you've got a heron and it's just sitting perfectly still on a branch. Great, have a ball. Once you capture your initial shots, if you want to drop your ISO and go to a slower shutter speed, no problem. But what if you're waiting on a bird to take off? What if all of a sudden you hear a commotion and you've got an alligator capturing something off to your right and your shutter speed's at 1/250th because you have 8, stops of image synchronization and you're pushing your shutter speed? Well, you're not going to freeze that action. So it's kind of silly to go out for wildlife photography, constantly having a shutter speed of 1/400th of a second. That's not going to stop action, most action. So the biggest reason, let me say this again, that you struggle with sharp images with long lenses, with super telephoto lenses, is because you're afraid of a high ISO. And that is no longer a reason to do it. If you learn how to post process correctly, you use DxO Pure Raw, you expose the right. Now, I'll probably hear some 20, 30 something year old goober who shoots Sony talk about how he has more leeway with his full frame camera. Well, if you like learning how to fix images in post processing instead of nailing it from the beginning, great, awesome, have a ball. With live highlight alerts in the OM system, we can nail exposing to the right every single time once we learn how to expose doing that. So if you shoot a full frame, I don't care to hear from you about how you have more leeway. I don't use this YouTube channel to teach people how to fix images. I use this YouTube channel to teach people how to capture them correctly from the start. So don't be afraid of high ISO. Don't be afraid of that. Keep your shutter speed where it needs to be. If you're struggling with sharp images, let me give you a suggestion. For a while, if you have a 600 millimeter or longer lens, whether it be actual focal length or 600 millimeter or equivalent or longer, try shooting at 1/2500th of a second all the time. Therefore, you need to adjust your ISO accordingly based on available light. No, don't use auto ISO. It will screw you over every single time. And I'm going to do a video on that soon, proving to you how it does not work in terms of exposing to the right. That's the measure for success. It will not do it consistently, okay? So that's problem number one that you're struggling with. Just humor me and shoot at 1/2500th of a second for wildlife and see if your images don't get sharper. Adjust your ISO according to the amount of available light. All right, let's talk about reason number two. A lot of times people buy a longer focal length thinking that what that means is now I can photograph a warbler 100 feet away on top of a tree and crop the crap out of it, okay? And think they're going to have a nice sharp shot. We don't get longer telephoto lenses so we can shoot birds 300 feet away, a quarter mile away, and think you're going to have a sharp shot after you crop it. That's just silly. You need to spend enough time in the field where you learn what is reasonable to expect from your gear. With my 150 to 400, the best lens I've ever owned, I believe one of the best lenses ever made, I won't shoot a warbler further than 20 feet away. I just don't. I don't waste my time. That's too small a bird. That's too far a distance. If you want a documentary shot, I don't care. I'm talking about capturing visually compelling images. If you're just taking a documentary shot, then quit worrying about how sharp it is. Just take your documentary shot and move on. If you're looking for art, if you're looking for great images, then develop your field craft to get closer to your subjects. A longer focal length lens isn't so you can photograph birds an obscene distance away, okay? It's so that wildlife in a good proximity, now we can do portraits. Now we can guarantee a sharp shot. Longer focal length lenses are not a substitute for fieldcraft. It doesn't let you be more lazy as a photographer. That's not the point of getting a longer lens. A longer lens is to give you options on shooting full body, on shooting a wildlife portrait. It doesn't negate the need for great fieldcraft. It doesn't mean that I'm photographing, golden eagles a quarter mile away and then trying to crop it, 70% and then complain about my gear. That's nonsense. That's not having realistic expectations of your gear. Okay. So when you are working your subjects, think about the real distance to your subject. And what is it you're trying to accomplish? If you want visually compelling images, quit trying to take pictures of things that are too far away. Ask yourself, can you get closer to them? Can you be patient and let them come to you? And work on learning what to expect out of your gear, okay? The third challenge I see with people shooting with super telephoto lenses, they do not often take atmospheric conditions into account. The longer your focal length, the more that heat haze, the more that sunlight being reflected off of snow. Here's an image from Yellowstone, my Yellowstone OM only workshop just a few weeks ago, that I just couldn't get a sharp shot. Why is it? The sun was out and reflecting off the snow. These bison were a long ways away. I was working for a really nice environmental portrait with the shadows and the dark background. Almost every shot is not sharp. Why? Atmospheric conditions. It has nothing to do with the autofocus on the 150 to 400, which is spectacular. Has nothing to do with the subject detection or the regular autofocus, because I don't use them for I don't use AI detection for bison. It has nothing to do with that. That gear is phenomenal. The bison were a long ways away. Okay. I was shooting an environmental shot and it was sunny. I had a couple that were close enough to be able to work in nice images, but none of them are probably going to be on my website. None of them are probably going to make social media. So understand the impact that a super telephoto lens and long distances have with a wide variety of atmospheric conditions. Heavy snow, man, that's going to interfere with autofocus. That's going to cause that, even if your subject's in focus, it may make it appear like it isn't. So sun on snow, sun on gravel, I mean, sun on sand, it can be very cold, and the heat haze is going to cause you problems. It's just the sunlight being reflected back up off the snow. So wind, dust in the air, all of those elements become a bigger problem the further away your subject is. Another reason that becomes a problem is because many of you are shooting when the light is crappy. Learn to read light. I've done other videos on that. I'll be doing more in the future. I just wrote an article for the Journal of Wildlife Photography that came out in the winter 2025, I think it was, edition, talking about the 4 main traits of light. Okay. You got to learn to know when it's just not a time to take an image. Yeah, it's not going to produce a good image. Okay. So understanding atmospheric conditions and how they're going to impact your photography with super telephoto lenses is very important. At the beach, on snow, in the desert, even in the prairies, right? Man, on a hot day, those heat waves, there's just no point in doing it. Relax, edit, watch YouTube videos, learn, do a lot of things, but don't photograph when you're just going to be frustrating yourself. Remember my phrase, set yourself up for success? Learn how to do that, okay? For my 4th tip for why people struggle with super telephoto lenses, I got to get up and show you something. Stay tuned. So the 4th reason that many of you struggle when it comes to photographing with super telephoto lenses is this. You don't have a good stance or know how to properly support your lens when you're shooting out in the field. So a couple of things I'd like to talk about. One, when you're going to shoot, we don't want to stand flat-footed, with our feet side by side, and arms out wide, camera kind of away from the face. You want to have a good stance as if you were going to shoot a rifle. If you had to brace yourself for the recoil of a shotgun. So what I recommend is a staggered stance, 1 foot behind the other, and always being safe and careful of your surroundings. I personally do not like holding my hand flat on a lens. I don't feel that gives me that much support, but we all have different flexibilities, hand sizes, all kinds of things. So I actually like using the lens foot for what I'm going to hold. And then I can zoom if I need to. I can manually focus if I need to, no problem. You may prefer to hold the lens barrel. Either way, you need a good firm grasp on your lens. Sometimes I even like to pull the lens foot out to the side, and I'll hold it almost like a machine gun sometimes, okay? You may not like that. I have a good strong grip. That may not work for you, but if it does, it's worth trying. So we want to have a good firm grip with our right hand on the body. We want to have good strong support under the lens, however you're going to hold it. Then what we want to do, again with that staggered stance, we want our arms in tight. No chicken wing. This isn't a dance, okay? We want a good, strong support. And I like to put the camera to my eye and pull it in tight to my face to the point that I often shove my glasses actually up against my face. Now I have a really good, strong support. That's really going to help me in maintaining good, solid position. So elbows in, okay? feet staggered, knees slightly bent. You don't want to be lock-legged. Yeah, that's a word, lock-legged. And I want to pull that camera into my face for good, steady support. That's when standing. Now, if I'm ever going to push my shutter speed, like the other day I pushed a little bit on my 150 to 400, at 1,000 millimeters, I shot at 1/250th of a second. But here's how I was shooting it. I was in the snow. I kneeled down, okay? I'm going to put my elbow on my knee. So my left leg is up, my right knee is down. And now I'm gonna same thing, staggered stance, hand is firm on the grip. I'm gonna pull that camera into my eye, my elbows are in tight. Now I am really steady. Good, stable platform. This, where you're waving all over the place, no, good, stable platform right here, okay? That's going to help you a lot. And a lot of times we want to get lower anyways for our wildlife images. When you're shooting vertical, the same thing. A vertical grip, this, I see this a lot. That's not steady either. This is a lot easier to hold steady, okay? Pull it into my face. And what I'll do when I'm shooting vertical, I often keep this loose enough to move around. Now look at that. I've got that foot right there in my hand. Boom. Okay? Or if you're going to hold the lens, either way, I've got good, strong support, and I'm pulling it into my face. I'm trying to make the camera one with my body. It's so many of y'all, you're pushing your shutter speed, you're flat-footed, your legs are locked, you know, your arms are loose, and your camera's not up firm to your eye. Well, yeah, of course you're going to move a lot more. You've got to have a good, strong base to photograph a long lens. Many of you are older, and these lenses, no matter how light they get, there's still weight to it. I mean, take 2.5-pound dumbbells and hold them out to the side and just see how long you can successfully hold it there before it starts getting heavy. Well, sometimes we're waiting on a bird to take off or action to happen for quite a while. And you really need to focus on a good, stable shooting platform. Hopefully that will help. Well, nature photographers, I hope those tips of shooting with a long telephoto lens come in handy. Maybe it'll make an improvement in your overall sharpness of your images. Learn to assess image sharpness. I have a video about that. You can watch that here and realize what mistakes you're making. Don't always blame the gear. It's rarely the gear. It's more often user. Learn from your mistakes, learn from your failures, and your photography will get better. I've listed the OM Only Macro Workshop in Costa Rica. That is indeed up and priced. I only have a few spots left. That's going to be an awesome opportunity for you to really learn to master macro photography with your own system gear. I've got many other workshops up on the Wildside website. Looking forward to having you out in the field with me. Go out there, capture some visually compelling images. We'll see you next time.